Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Two Players and One Game podcast. My name is Stratobyte, or you can call me Casey, and here with me is my friend and co-host, Jake the Goodman. Today we're going to be talking about Sonic Adventures 1 and 2, and just catch up because it's been a year since we put out an episode. So, if you're ready, let's enjoy the kickoff to Season 2 of Two Players and One Game podcast. Okay. Well, Jake, how have things been since we've, have done our last podcast, a year ago? How have you been?
I've been doing all right. Life kind of happens.
Right.
To There's quite a bit to catch up on. I'm still doing my traffic reporting job. That's been going great.
Well, that's
We
good.
now have the radio markets in Omaha and Wichita. So if you're ever driving through any of those cities in the Midwest, and if you're listening early morning or late afternoon, you might hear yours truly. And then I signed on with a talent agency here in Kansas City. So just been kind of doing some auditions with them. Have a couple other projects ongoing that I can't really say much about yet because of NDAs and everything. But it's been going good. Life's been getting busier, and I kind of just told myself earlier this year, as we're like also bringing back to podcast, I want to pursue more of what my dream is, and that's anything voiceover related or anything radio
Right.
related. So
And if you
just wanted to kind of lock in on that.
if you guys don't know, Jake has been pursuing to become a voice actor for anything, for doing voiceover works for commercials or just like anime or just anything like that. So he's been pursuing that dream for a very long time, and you know, uh throughout the year that we've been absent, Jake has been getting these opportunities to start kind of diving into that, which is really cool to see secondhand because it was just like, oh, look, like this, like we talked about it like 3 years ago, like, oh, like, hey, this dream may be far off and all. And then like now it's almost closer to becoming a reality, which is really cool. And, it's just awesome how life works like that. So I'm really happy for you, Jake, that you were
I
able to, kind of get back on track with that and kind of pursue your dreams because the pursuit of your dreams is most important, guys. Always pursue what you love.
I appreciate that so much, and I was also just going to kind of add on to that real quick. I mean, it, it might not seem like it, but always try to push for those goals that you have, even though it might not always seem like you're getting somewhere. You definitely are, and I
Right.
will say, I will say this with voiceover, like it's great to get into, but um, don't necessarily like quit your day job right away just because the money and everything. We got to pay bills and whatnot. But
Oh yeah, of
if you can make
course.
a
Yeah.
voiceover, then I am all for that. I think that's awesome.
Well,
Um, Strat, how you been, man?
man, I've been doing okay. It's been a wild year. A lot has happened, and life happens, of course, and everything like that. Um, I left my teaching job about a year ago, and I wanted to take a break, a sabbatical on that, and just kind of just reconsider stuff in life and just kind of recover. I've been kind of going through, honestly, guys, and I'm gonna say this. I've been going through a very deep depression, and like this past year has been like the worst year of my life, and all that stuff. And I just want to stress so much about mental health. Please take care of yourself mentally and emotionally and physically, of course. And like life happens, like I said. But things are starting to look up. I've been getting opportunities and all that stuff again to kind of do what I love, and um, also just the fact that I feel more free and I feel more refreshed in. I'm excited to be teaching again this upcoming year, and also trying to do the podcast and all that stuff at the same time. So, I mean, it's gonna be, like Jake and I have talked about this. We've we've wanted to do this podcast. This is one of my goals that I've wanted to do, and just to do entertainment and everything like that. And this is what makes me happy, like streaming, playing video games, going about my life. I want to try to be a little bit more happier, but I'm not gonna lie, it's been a really crappy year, and I can't wait to make more memories and everything like that to have a better year. But yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into our episode. So we're going to be talking about Sonic Adventures 1 and 2, and we'll be talking about it and just giving our thoughts and all that stuff. Again, we live stream on Twitch. Bi-weekly, we put out an announcement on Twitter and on my Discord, so you can stop by my stream at twitch.tv/stratobyte to get more details on that. Or, follow us on Twitter at stratobyte and at Jake the Goodman. We will be putting out some stuff as well. You can participate in our live recording right now that we're doing on Twitch. I want to give a shout out to my friend Kathy, who is in chat and all that stuff. I hope she'll enjoy the show. But also, we made a Google form. And if you guys visit the podcast or all that stuff, and we'll also put this link out on Twitter and our socials as well. But we put a Google form out there, so if you guys want to give us some recommendations for topics about anime or video game series that you would like us to cover for a podcast, feel free to fill it out, and we'll give you credit. Like we have stuff planned out, but we also want to be inclusive to you guys as well that are listening. So we'll put that Google form out there somehow for you guys to fill that out. So with much said, let's jump in to this beautiful thing. So Jake, tell us all about Sonic Adventures.
All right. So the Sonic Adventure series. So of course we're going to start out with SA1, and what a day to be talking about Sonic after we just got some more details today about Sonic X Shadow Generations that's coming out later this fall. So anyways, Sonic Adventure, it is a 3D platformer that was first released for the Sega Dreamcast in Japan in 1998 and saw a release in the West in 1999. Now, this was the first full-on attempt of a 3D Sonic game. Sonic Adventure 1 gives us a total of 6 playable characters. Of course, you got Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but now you also have Amy Rose, E102 Gamma, and Big the Cat. And I did not know this at first, but Sonic Adventure sold over 1.27 million copies in the US alone, making it the top-selling Dreamcast game. I kind of thought SA2 would have, but I guess SA1 did. And speaking of, SA1 received a sequel in 2001, marking the 10th anniversary of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, which we're going to be talking about SA2 here in just a little bit. So the story of Sonic Adventure 1 goes like this. Dr. Robotnik, which Sonic and company start calling him Eggman, has discovered the mighty monster known as Chaos, whom he plans to use to destroy Station Square and build Robotnik Land on its ruins. So, to prevent their nemesis from achieving this goal, Sonic and Tails are embarking on an adventure to secure the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Along the way, their old friends Knuckles and Amy, as well as E102 Gamma, a robot aligned to the Doctor, and Big the Cat, who has lost his friend Froggy, get involved in the skirmish as well and learn about Chaos's past through mysterious visions with Tikal, who is a ancestor of Knuckles. So, as for the gameplay, Sonic Team prioritized making the player feel exhilarated by the speed throughout Sonic Adventure. They additionally made the camera in such a way that the player could not only get lost while playing, in other words, they can make to where they try to change the angles depending on the terrain and always show the direction a player has to go. Furthermore, the camera was made to produce dynamic action, which of course is a big thing in video games nowadays, such as looking downward when you're up in a high in the sky type of place, or if you're like in a low area, you want to look up, see what's all above you. That's kind of a fun feature of SA1. Whenever the character would run through loops and such, it would the camera would, kind of like pans to the side, so that way you can see them running through the loop.
Right.
And the developers, they thought it'd be a waste of time to just have Sonic run through the various stages and finish them in no time. As such, they kind of thought of a way that they could leverage their assets effectively, and from that, the remaining 5 playable characters' abilities were born. Since these had unique playstyles, Iizuka figured that they should each have their own stories and goals to accomplish. So he thought it would be interesting to have an overarching story that was told from each of the characters' perspectives.
And
The first two characters.
and
Oh, go
and
ahead.
just the I don't mean to cut you off, but I kind of find that really cool when they are thinking about that, because I would love to play video games that have like different perspectives and all that stuff. Like, where were they at? What were they doing and all that stuff? So I just wanted to add on to that because I thought it was, and this is what really tied me into the Sonic games, is that, you know, they always put out stuff where you're playing as different characters and you're playing as their perspective. So I thought it was a really good, unique way to go about a video game.
Right, I'm right there with you also, and I also like how they give them like different playable styles to make them feel like separate or on their own.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, so the team decided to have the former's gameplay adopt portions of the Hedgehog stages and turn them into the one-to-one races. Which, well, when you're playing as Tails, you're just racing to the finish line, getting there before Sonic. As for Knuckles the Echidna, they designed his game style to contrast kind of with Sonic. So, since the red character's original bio said he was a treasure hunter, Izuka instantly got the idea of having his levels revolve around treasure hunting in a 3D space, which is a great way to kick off 3D gameplay in the Sonic series. Having that ability to run around and explore places. Amy Rose, who debuted in Sonic CD, also became playable for the very first time in a mainline Sonic game. She was playable in some of the side games too. So the developers chose a less combat-oriented gameplay style, despite her Pico Pico hammer. She then aforementioned characters all engaged in aggressive behavior. And as the core fun factor of the game, Izuka thought of giving Amy a playstyle that was more about the thrills of technical gameplay, hiding from pursuers and running away when an enemy pops up. During development, many wrote into Sega requesting a new character that would shoot enemies, but they thought that would be just a silly idea to give Sonic characters a gun. Imagine like Sonic walking around with a gun or something. I mean, I
I
mean,
mean, it's not
I
like
mean,
the
I could
internet has done that before, okay? The internet memes everything about Sonic and other video game and anime characters, okay? There is not a time or an anime or a video game that has not been memed yet with a gun. It's gonna be real.
exactly, and well, to
Like
also like quote.
like I saw this Instagram post about someone making like a Pokemon parody and all this stuff, and like Ash was holding a gun and pow pow goes Caterpie. So I know. Sorry.
I had to look for that. But no, to like also quote Sonic from the Shadow the Hedgehog game where Shadow uses guns. Sonic has a quote where he says, "I wouldn't be caught dead using one of those." And then Smash Brothers exists where one of the weapons you can pick up is a gun. But anyways,
Right. We're promoting guns. We're promoting guns. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, we were promoting guns and killing. Now we still do that. Okay.
We still do. The developers, however, had the idea of making one of Dr. Robotnik's badniks be a playable character, giving place to the shooting gameplay in the creation of E102 Gamma. So the most unusual inclusion is also Big the Cat. It came from Sonic Team wanting a character that would break up the action from all the characters, and so they decided to present the players with fishing gameplay since they had water in the game.
Oh,
In order to join up
I'm
the
all
game-
in for that. All in for that.
Oh, me
I
too.
I love the fishing in that game so far.
Oh, fishy. All right, so in order to join up the stages in Sonic Adventure, the developers implemented the hub worlds in the form of adventure fields. These were created so that the player could be drawn deeper into the world, with progression being marked by the collection of power-ups and the unlocking of new areas through newfound abilities and the advancing in the story. An idea that Izuka conceptualized with inspiration from, get ready for this one, The Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
Which is
of
kind of funny
course.
that-
Of course. Zelda's a good game.
It's kind of cool how, exactly. And it's kind of cool how like Zelda's an inspiration when Sonic Lost World, which came out like about a decade or so later, had a DLC that was Legend of Zelda theme. So kind of cool how stuff works around like that.
Right.
And there were also many discussions on the cutscenes in the game in Japanese. Some wanted to have Sonic only speak English with subtitles, while others wanted him to speak in his own language. In the end, it was decided to just have the character speak Japanese, and then we had it dubbed in English over here.
Yeah.
As for the reception,
Yeah. No, I kind of find that real quick. I just kind of found that very interesting. I would have found it very interesting if Sonic ended up being like Link where there was just like no voice. There was actually no voice at all. I think the gameplay and the approach would be so different.
Exactly. It would probably like also make it feel more like you were Sonic, kind of how it is with Link in the Zelda series, where all he just does is like grunts and such.
Ah, ah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
As for reception, yeah, and as for reception, Sonic Adventure received generally favorable reviews from critics and was acclaimed by reviewers to be the first fully 3D Sonic platformer, with some going as far as to call it one of the greatest video games of all time. Although future ports and remakes, such as Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut, which that support that we have on Steam, on the Xbox,
Yeah.
or has more mixed reception. And after kind of playing it recently, I still kind of
Yeah, we
I
both have
like
it
it.
on Steam. We both have it on Steam and all that stuff. I it's a little rough. It's a little rough right now for me. But we're making it through.
Yeah, yeah, it's gameplay. Its gameplay's a little bit
Choppy.
more rough, but
Yeah. But yeah.
the current
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
No. I was no. You go ahead. You go ahead. My bad.
Okay. The current game rankings average ranking is an 86.51 out of 100, and it became one of the few Sega All-Star games. The Japanese video game magazine Famitsu, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, gave the game a score of 38 out of 40. Although criticized for its camera system, frame rate issues, and fishing stages with Big, the game was still highly praised for retaining the fast and enjoyable gameplay that Sonic was known for in 2D, as well as the game's graphics, multiple character storylines, and soundtrack. The soundtrack in SA1 is fantastic, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, no, it's
Both
beautiful.
adventure games.
I always love like the very thing I first whenever I play a video game is the music. Is the music good? Is the soundtrack good? And does it match with the gameplay and all that stuff? And I could say with the Sonic games in particular, it never lets me down. It never lets me down. I am always so um kind of enthused by the music and it makes me more absorbed into the gameplay itself.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like I think Sonic games do a great job of having a game or having a soundtrack that makes you want to feel connected to the game. And anyways, but as of August of 2006, Sonic Adventure has sold over 2.5 million units worldwide, making it the best-selling Dreamcast games, and this includes 1 million sold in the United States.
That's That's crazy. Like think about like back then and all that stuff. I don't know what our viewer audience is out there, but me and Jake are, we're in our later 20s, early 30s and all that stuff. So we grew up with the Dreamcast and the PS2, PS1, like Super Nintendo, all that stuff. And just like looking back at everything, it makes me happy that the legacy that these games, especially like with the Dreamcast and all that stuff, because we had a Dreamcast growing up and all that stuff, like it makes me happy that we've left a legacy like this, like the best selling Dreamcast game and like a million sold in the US, like that was unheard of about 20, 30 years ago and all that stuff. No one and that's because like video games started to become more prominent and all that stuff and people were using their creative minds and all that stuff and Sonic back then just really captured a lot of people and this statistic proved it.
Exactly, and to kind of like add on to that, that was also like during the era where fan games were starting to pop up too, and Sonic's always had such a popular like him and Mario have always had such a popular fan base when it comes to people making fan games, and there are a lot of really good Sonic fan games out there that I would love. Maybe one of these days if we could talk about some of those.
Right. Yeah, so Jake,
But anyway,
what did you think about Sonic Adventures 1?
so what I think about Sonic Adventures 1, and this kind of helps that I just played through the game recently. So I first played SA1 sometime in the later 2000s when it became available for online purchase on Xbox Live, which again is the director's cut. I would love it if we had the original. Um, the reason why I was late to playing it was because I didn't have a Dreamcast or a GameCube of my own. Though I was a big fan of the Sonic series because I played other titles available at the time, such as Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, which
Yeah, we
We
don't
will
talk
definitely have
about
to
that. Don't talk about that game.
We don't.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't talk
like
about
that's
it.
like Voldemort. Okay, don't. We
Yeah.
do not speak that the game. We just talk about that. We don't talk about that game.
And I was also introduced to the series to Adventures of the Sonic the Hedgehog Sonic the Hedgehog, the TV show, which uh that was back in like 2001, I think, when it was on Toon Disney.
Right.
I immediately fell in love with the games, anyways. The soundtrack when running through Stage One, which is Emerald Coast. Being that this is the first Sonic game to feature like a lot more like soundtracks and everything. The sound mixing could be a bit odd at times. Like like sometimes the music will be a lot louder than the character speaking. But I mean, this is back in
Right.
the
This
late
was like
'90s,
late
before 20
'90s, 2000s, and everything just started kind of booming and all that stuff, and everyone was just they were just excited they just put their game out there.
Exactly. And I enjoyed a lot of the voice acting in this game too. Ryan Drummond as Sonic, he's one of my favorites. Uh, I love Dean Bristol Eggman, and I enjoy the
Yeah.
various styles of gameplay this game has. Breezing through the levels as quick as possible with Sonic, trying to find all the shortcuts with Tails, and the treasure hunting stages with Knuckles. I know they can take their time, uh, but like I was kind of talking about earlier, I like how it works with the 3D environment to where you can kind of explore stages.
Right.
I also like the E102 Gamma stages since all you're just doing is running and gutting. You're spamming the shooting button, which that's a game mechanic I've always had some fun with.
Right. Running gun is always good.
Exactly. Amy and Big are kind of my least two favorite styles of gameplay. While the Pico Pico hammer is great to use as a weapon and for somersaults for jumping with Amy, she's obviously not as fast, but it's still okay to go through. Big, I think maybe I don't know if it's the DX version, but just the fishing mechanics they take a little bit. They took me a little while to get used to.
Right.
But you don't have too many of them, so once you get through there, you're done.
Sure, for sure.
And I do like Big as I like Big as a character. I was happy when they brought him back in Sonic Frontiers. He's very helpful in that game.
Yeah, like I'm playing through it again and all that stuff, and like I just remember how easy, well, kind of hard and easy. I just loved it on controller, like playing it on the Dreamcast and all that stuff. But man, playing it on keyboard and mouse, guys, let me tell you that it is torture on keyboard and
Yeah,
mouse.
that it doesn't seem like a game. It doesn't seem like it'd be easy to play on keyboard and mouse. Like I have to have a controller for that game.
Yeah, no, I'm forced to play it on keyboard and mouse because my controller broke, and like some of the things I was trying to do, I was trying to mash the buttons, and like I ended up just dying like first thing. I just really really dislike the keyboard controls for SA1 and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that. The music is what I'm kind of always focused into, and they did a really good job with the sound with the soundtrack and everything. But yeah, no, my thoughts too. I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It brings back memories. Playing it now, it also brings back a lot of memories, all that stuff. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about Sonic Adventures 2 because we're doing a combination episodes of two Sonic games because it makes sense to do it like that. So, Sonic Adventures 2 marked as the 10th anniversary of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise with its release on June 19th, 2001 on the Sega Dreamcast. It was one of the last games released on the console before Sega stopped developing home consoles. The game would see a re-release in December 2001 for the Nintendo GameCube. And Sonic,
First Sonic game to be on Nintendo.
yeah, the first Sonic game to be on the Nintendo GameCube. But Sonic Adventures 2 introduces us to two new characters, which is Shadow the Hedgehog and Rouge the Bat. So pretty much how the plot goes for Sonic Adventures 2 is that Dr. Eggman learns of a secret weapon from his grandfather, and then he infiltrates the facility that has it to revive it with the Chaos Emerald. The weapon is actually Sonic the Hedgehog. Not Sonic. No, not Sonic the Hedgehog. Joe, I'm sorry. I debated all of you. You guys thought I was that stupid, huh? No, it's actually Shadow the Hedgehog. You know, the some reason they describe Shadow the Hedgehog as a black hedgehog who proclaims himself as the ultimate life form. And I'm, like as you figure out in Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog, if you play that game, the curse game and all that stuff, like I felt like they could have just phrased that a little better and all that stuff. But think about it. I mean, this was made in 2000 what? 2001, right?
Yep, 2001.
And all that stuff, and it was a different society back then. But basically, Shadow gets, brought on the Eggman and everything like that. And Eggman's cousin Maria made a promise with Shadow to just hey, you just need to save mankind or just protect mankind and all that stuff. But pretty much what happens is that, Shadow and Eggman is just like, hey, Shadow, you want to help me destroy the world and all that stuff with, and take it over as its supreme overlord. And, Shadow pretty much is like, yeah, let's do it and all that stuff. And so they go into this adventure and all that stuff to where they're kind of like on this conquest for world domination, at least for Eggman. And then meanwhile, like Knuckles encounters Eggman and Rouge, attempting to steal the Master Emerald and all that stuff. And then we found out that Rouge is secretly a government spy and all that stuff, trying to steal, or trying to, kind of what's that word? Sabotage. Gotta sabotage everything like that and just make sure, that the world is safe and everything like that. But pretty much, it's just like any Sonic game. Sonic and Eggman go up against each other and all that stuff. And towards the end was when Shadow kind of had his awakening, in which oh, I made this promise to Maria that I would protect the world and all that stuff, or save mankind. So pretty much what happens at the very end of that game is that Shadow and Sonic, they team up together, take down Eggman. Eggman's like, what the flip? Oh! And then, as any other Sonic game, Dr. Eggman loses. And Shadow, we don't even know at the end of the game if Shadow is still alive. But plot armor, popularity armor. Everybody loves Shadow. So I'm sure he is still alive. Anyway, so yeah, they pretty much get into their super forms, Chaos Emeralds, Master Emeralds, all that stuff, and they just take down this Bio Lizard and all that stuff, and yeah, the end to that. But yeah, anyways, what I kind of find cool is that Sonic Adventures 2 just introduces us two stories to choose from, good versus evil. And for the good story, we get to play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. For the evil story, we get to play as Shadow, Eggman, and Rouge, and all that stuff. And it's kind of interesting because you can play both sides and get both perspectives on it and all that stuff, which I kind of find it very cool.
Kind of going back to what we were saying with SA1, it kind of implemented more on that idea, which is cool.
Right. And so, yeah, pretty much that is there's some really cool stages in the game. And the music in Sonic Adventures 2 is just so on point. I love it so much. I really do. Really, really love the music in that game. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Two of my favorite songs of all time is on that soundtrack, all that stuff. Take a gander at it. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but I will say Live and Learn, Escape from the City, the Aquatic Mine. Those are the ones. And the Reflection, and the Reflection piano piece. Those are my four top favorite Sonic Adventures 2 OST songs on that game. Jake, what are your thoughts about Sonic Adventures 2?
So my thoughts on SA2, to me, I do think SA2 still holds up as a great game. So yeah, like I mean, it introduces Shadow the Hedgehog, who is one of my favorite characters in the franchise. In fact, just earlier today, for those listening here on a different date, I'm talking about Saturday, July 6th, 2024. We got to see an animated clip released by Sega at Anime Expo. I think it's at Anime Expo. That's promoting the upcoming game Sonic X Shadow Generations this upcoming fall. And it was actually a clip of Shadow, his backstory with Maria, where Gun infiltrates the Ark, which, of course, that's the big backstory plot in
Yeah,
SA2.
right.
I saw that clip and I'm so hyped for the game. But going back to like SA2, SA2 definitely does have its flaws. Some of the gameplay mechanics, like rail grinding, takes a little bit to get
Yes,
used to.
rail grinding is
I'm
just
not a.
it's just a pain. It really is.
It's a pain. Yeah, it's a pain. But later stages like Space Gadget do a really good job with it. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the treasure hunting stages, and here's why. Because when I was talking about SA1 earlier, you heard me mention how it did like a really good job of allowing you to go find whatever pieces of the Master Emerald you want to while exploring the 3D space. You can still do the exploration stuff in SA2,
Right.
but you kind of got to like go in a set order. And one stage that kind of drove me that I just wasn't a big fan of at all. I don't think anyone is Security Hall with Rouge, where
Yes. No, that's a
like a
pain.
you only have like 5 minutes to get to the stage. So really, if you're just someone new playing the game, you might just have to like find a manual online or something.
Right.
But besides that, the mech stages with Tails and Eggman, those are fun. Going back to what I said before, run and gun stages, I always enjoy the mech stages. And of course, going as fast as I can with Sonic and Shadow. And also trying to look for any Easter eggs. And by the way, I gotta mention it, the Chow Garden.
Yeah.
The
100%.
Chow, the Chow Garden. Everyone loves the Chow Garden.
No, yeah, no, everybody. Okay, okay. Hey, count the three. Favorite stage on Sonic Adventures 2. You say it. We both say it, okay?
On the
One.
count of
Yeah,
three.
yeah. One, two,
Two,
three.
three.
City
Space
Escape.
Gadget. Oh, Cityscape's great. Also, it's a great start off level.
Man, okay,
I love
okay.
I love the hover or the wakeboard.
Okay, why do you say your favorite stage? Why do you think that is your favorite stage?
Getting to like really explore the arc and it just have some like challenging mechanics all throughout it.
Okay.
And like I was kind of saying earlier, it does like a better job with handling the rail grinding.
Right.
But either that or what, I might actually say Green Forest instead because that's the one where you're trying to escape the island after you fight Shadow for the first time.
Right.
I think I just like all the Sonic stages in the game.
No, City Escape for me is my favorite because I love that song so much. To be real. And it plays throughout the stage and it just gives you like to me when I play that stage so many times back when it used to be GameStop. Well, what used to be GameStop? EB Games. EB Games. I don't know if you guys have ever had an EB Games experience and all that stuff, or a Blockbuster or a Hollywood video experience when they put like the video game consoles out there and they give you like a demo run, all that stuff about the game. But City Escape was part of that demo, and that's what made me fall in love with that game. I would replay that stage just to try to get a max score on it or like speed run through it, all that stuff. It just definitely has brought me back memories and all that stuff when I first played it again for the first time in like years, all that stuff. So yeah, no, but like anyways, yeah, like I said, this it's just always great. The Sonic series is always a great game. I can't wait to see later Sonic, the future Sonic creations and everything like that because I'm a big fan. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end this episode of the podcast and all the stuff. Last reminders: we do have season 1 episodes up on Spotify and on YouTube. So if you would love to check those out, please do so by checking us out on youtube.com/2players1game podcast and searching us up on Spotify Two Players One Game podcast, and all of our episodes are on there. So if you're ever on the go, or if you're ever just wanting to have some background noise and everything like that, please consider Two Players One Game podcast to be your podcast to put on and enjoy some discussion about video games and nostalgia and all that stuff. We will, like I said, we release these podcast episodes bi-weekly, unless something's said otherwise. So just keep up with us on the socials at stratobyte, at Jake the Good Man. And we're so glad to be back. I'm so happy to be back. And I know this is like a little bit of a shorter episode than what we usually do, because we try to aim about 30 to. Oh no, it's not really. We try to aim about 30 minutes or an hour. Try to not make it too long, but yeah, no, we're just so glad to be back. Jake, any last words before we go?
Yeah, I also just want to say, like, I'm so glad to be back also. Again, guys, if you have any video game recommendations you want us to chat about, go check out the Google Forms doc that we have in the chat attached to the podcast and everything.
I'm
And
so
let us
glad
know-
that you remember that.
and let us know of any games you want us to talk about. I also there's also like a lot of indie games out there too. Like I would love
Right.
I don't know, I thought about this too, Strat. I'd love to like get people on who want to talk about indie projects too and whatnot.
Yes.
I think that'd be great
Great
right
stuff, yes. That would be sweet. And we have, like I said, we have some stuff planned out for this rail of episodes for Two Players One Game podcast. So anyways, guys, we hope that you have a great night and take care of yourselves. And remember, Two Players One Game podcast, please subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify.